There's an opportunity within downtown Toronto. I want to get into like a quick lesson that I have, but the opportunity in downtown Toronto to start a housekeeping business. I was literally with somebody yesterday at a wedding, not even kidding, and he started a cleaning business about 4 or 5 years ago called Hella Made. You can look it up online, Hella Made. He just provides cleaning services. And I'm telling you, this guy's an engineer out of Waterloo University, has an engineering job, but his cleaning company on the side gives him more life and probably more income than his actual regular job. This is 4 years later, but he primarily focuses on obviously commercial cleaning. But he started off with just doing Airbnb cleaning, and he's like, there is so much demand, and all he does is he hires a bunch of cleaners, and then he's just the middleman, the quality assurance. He's like, if I have a contract with somebody and like I can't, like one of my workers can't go out, I'm the one that's going out and cleaning it. You know what I'm talking about, John?
Yeah.
So I hear you that you're working in the industry, but I'll tell you this. This is actually the lesson today. Once you know there's kind of an idea or an opportunity, you just have to get started. You just have to get started. And like everybody in this room will probably attest to this lesson, that this weekly class that we do here, right? I could have planned it out. I could have sent reminders, weeks before or days before and all that jazz. And that's true. And that is what I'm supposed to do. And that is what I will do in the near future. But there comes a point where if you don't take action, you're really never really going to start. So the hard part is taking the action to get started. And
That's
so
true.
whether it's a cleaning business, if you can imagine yourself starting a cleaning business here, or a restaurant business that you were talking about, like you owned in the past, you just have to like go to Kijiji or go to somewhere and put an ad out saying, I provide house cleaning services. My company name is John Cleaning Services. Contact me for cleaning services, for example. You know what I mean? That's how it starts. That's how any business I've ever started because it's just like, you just got to start doing it. You know what I mean? I've got a few stories, but this class is a story. And another story is, and I'm living it right now. I just want to tell you guys the story so you guys see it happening. Okay, I'm planning an international trip. You heard about the trip to Mecca? Ernie, you heard about the trip I'm planning to Mecca? Okay. I've been wanting to do this for years. I've been wanting to take a trip to Mecca for years, and I wanted to take a bunch of people with me. It's like an international trip. I've never done anything like this in my life, ever. Yeah. And 3 weeks ago, we made a group on WhatsApp and I invited a bunch of people. And long story short, we spent like 2, 3 weeks, the last 2, 3 weeks, just talking about planning it, this and that, all these like problems. And eventually I just said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna book the hotel. I just booked the hotel. Luckily it's cancelable. Nobody knows that. But I just said, guys, I just booked the hotel. So there's no more discussion on dates. There's no more discussion on what room or what cost or how many people are going to come. It's booked. Now we have to make it happen. So creating that sense of urgency. You know what I mean? We were talking about all this thing like, well, how are people going to afford it? This and that. The whole idea was to raise money and take people for free. So what I ended up doing was we launched a campaign 3 days ago on LaunchGood, which is kind of like a GoFundMe. In 2 days, we've already raised $600 towards the trip. Random donations.
Crazy.
Random donations. I haven't even looked today, but the goal is to raise $40,000. We're going to do it. Even if you don't do it all, I mean, we're going to do at least most of it, which is enough to at least have the first annual trip to Mecca. And then next year we'll do it again and again, because everything will figure itself out once you do it the first time. So the lesson I really had today, and I have more stories, but I want to stop talking because I want you guys to share some stories about, a moment or a time when you just got started. Like you didn't, you just said, enough with the planning, enough with the thinking, let me just get into action. And once that momentum gets started and going, then you start, then you start figuring things out along the way. This class, in 3 weeks from now, there'll be reminders that go out. There'll be more, lessons planned. There'll be more proper invites, blah, blah, blah. That is the topic I want to focus on today in the next 30 minutes. Or Mo, add on to that. Add on to the lesson of getting started, creating urgency to take action, and kind of just committing yourself before having a full plan.
I can start. I mean, I got to jump because I got to take the kids to pumpkin. So,
Nice.
but I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. Thanks, Reed, for pulling me in. But no, I think it's really what's so like what you're saying. And I think a lesson that I've learned is you don't need an entire business plan. You just need to start. You just need the first step, So it's really about like taking action when you have the biggest excitement about doing something or you have an idea. You just got to start because you know what? Either you can make a plan for 6 months and start and then realize that anyways, you probably didn't get everything right. And then you're going to tweak it. And then a year later, you're going to perfect it. Or you start right away and you tweak it as you go. And a year later, you'll actually almost always be significantly more advanced than where you would have been if you just spent too much time thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's all about just taking the first step. Take the first step and just think about, there's a methodology called the Kata approach, Kata, if you can look it up. And what the Kata approach is like you take big problems and you break it down into the next foreseeable deliverable. So you have the end in mind, and you just talk about, okay, what do I need to achieve before tomorrow morning? What do I need to achieve before the day after? So you just look at it one day at a time, or you could look at it 1 week at a time, but never more than a week. But you just focus on, okay, what can I do between now and tomorrow morning? What can I do between now and Friday? And just keep doing that. You look back 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you'll be blown how much you achieve. So just start. Just don't overthinking. Just take the first step.
Give us a story. A story of when you just applied that or just did that. Like you just got started without too much planning. Because I think stories is what people remember. So if you got a jet, I wanted to, like, is it the current business right now? Is like, is it everything? Like,
yeah, no,
I guess, when you went to the cottage recently, right? And John knows about the cottage because
let's use that as an example.
Yeah.
Right? 1 month ago, 4 weeks ago, I showed up at the cottage, September 26th. And we've been at this thing for 16 months already, right? And I told the guys, I said, guys, we're going to get permanent occupancy by the end of October. And everybody said, are you fucking crazy? There's no way we're going to pull this off before the end of October. We've been at this for 16 months already. We've been waiting for an HVAC unit for 8 months, and still the factory is not making the HVAC units right now. The next best date we got is November. So forget getting anything by October. Guess what? Monday, they would have the grills up, and the inspector is going to come in next week to do the permanent occupancy. And the only way we did it is we said, okay, what's the first problem right now? What do we got to solve right now? HVAC? Okay, let's figure out this HRV. So we called the engineer and said, why is it that we have to use the manufacturer? So we just focused all our energy. I kid you not, guys. 24 hours later, we had an HRV unit that we've been waiting for 8 months. We just changed the manufacturer. We found out from the engineer that what is the specification we have to follow. He said, well, that's just the one I recommended, but you don't have to follow the spec. But the thing is, we were thinking about so many things. We couldn't solve simple problems because we were just trying to solve all of them. And literally 34 weeks, I was there literally almost exactly 4 weeks to the day. And when we left, that building is now painted. It's got beds. It's got plumbing system. It's got a septic system, which we didn't even know we could get approved, all done in 4 weeks. You just got to take one day at a time, and the challenge that is in front of you that moment, solve that, and then move on to the next one.
I think the story is that you showed up without a plan. I mean, you just showed up with the goal in mind, not necessarily at all what you were going to do here for the 4 weeks or how you were going to do it or where you were going to stay. You just showed up on site. And that to me is a story of you just took the action as well. You know what I mean? They just said,
take the step.
That's it. Like the goal is to take people to Umrah. It doesn't matter how many go or how you fundraise or whatever else. Once you started doing, you figure all those things out, especially when you have a hard deadline like you did, because you just told everybody October 30th. That's it. Like that's when we're going, or that's when we're going to get that permanent occupancy. So everything had to work at the speed of, we got to get this done by October 30th. And eventually people bought in because you had enough confidence and stuff towards it.
And we actually achieved way more than I had expected to achieve in 4 weeks. Yeah. I mean, Sohail, did you expect that building to look the way it did?
There's no way. The outside renovation is done. The inside renovations are practically complete. The engineers, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. But that's the power of just taking action with a defined goal at the end. But I think if you weren't telling people, I'm like October 30th, that unrealistic dream, it wouldn't have happened. If you came and you said, I just want to get a lot done in 1 month, no, like what would have happened? Right?
You know what the thing was to all the guys over there? My kids want me to celebrate Halloween with them, and that's October 31st. And that's what drove everyone. Because I was like, guys, I can't miss the Halloween with my kids. My son wants me to be cowboy from PJ Maxx or from whatever the show is. And I'm like, I need to be there for my kids' first birthday, first Halloween, where they actually know what is going on, 4 years old now. And that's what drove me. That's what drove me. And I guess, ripple effect, right? Domino.